The coffee mug hit the marble floor. Before I even registered, I dropped it. Time fractured around me, one heartbeat to watch the handle snap, the next, to hear the porcelain shatter into a constellation of shards skittering across the pristine lobby tiles. Each fragment glittered like a tiny betrayal under the chandelier's glow. For a suspended moment, the polished hush of the Ludmere Hotel held its breath. And then the clerk's voice cut through, crisp and unyielding. "Mr. Walker, I apologize, but I cannot find your reservation." I blinked, as if a vibration behind my eyelids might reset the scene. "Can you check again?" My voice felt too calm, like a measured plume escaping a burst balloon. Weston Walker. My wife, Assold, said she booked it weeks ago. I squeezed my thumbs against the sides of my overnight bag, bracing myself not to grit my teeth. He hesitated. Eyes flicking to the keyboard's glow, fingers pausing mid-tap. "Sir, we have bookings for the Burtons. That's your wife's family name, correct? A suite for her parents. Another for Mrs. Isolde Burton Walker and her siblings. But nothing under your name." Click, click, click. The clerk's fingertips tapped the keys in a staccato that sounded like a verdict. Behind him, the lobby's professionals and tourists glanced up, their curiosity masked behind practiced, neutral expressions. Some carried glossy brochures, others adjusted their suitcases as though preparing for a runway, unaware. They were witnessing a different kind of arrival. Then, the sharp click of heels approached, slicing through the slight hum of air conditioning. My heart pitched forward, but I leaned back into stillness. I recognized that tread even before I saw the designer stitch of her heels. My wife emerged, draped in silk and condescension, her lips curved in that patented smirk she wore whenever she felt above the room. "Oh, Weston finally made it," she drawled, voice silk over steel. She tilted. Her chin. How strange. "No reservation? Must be some mix-up." Her tone smelled of amusement, like watching a child fumble with building blocks. I watched her eyes flick to my hand, to the dent the bag had made against my hip, then back to the clerk as she offered her own practiced apology. I only made, "Reservations for our real family," she whispered, loud enough for half the lobby to hear. She paused, flashing that smug smile that always felt calibrated for maximum effect. "Wouldn't want my precious family inconvenienced." Her smirk widened, soaking. In the theatrics, by a support act. Behind her, her mother lifted a diamond-studded scarf from her draped shoulders, chin held high. Her father, engrossed in his phone, pretended an invisible shield separated him from my existence. A cluster of her friends sipped cocktails with the kind of performative confusion reserved for stage charity events. Lips parted, expressions blank, cameras hovered discreetly by the concierge desk, capturing every nuance to upload onto social feeds. I stood frozen for a beat, feeling the tick of seconds, echo like distant thunder. Then I inhaled, allowing calm to anchor me. I made myself look at each of them in turn. First the clerk, mortified by the electric tension, then my wife, basking in her twisted triumph. Then the witness gallery, mouths opening and closing behind polite hands. I let the quiet gather in my chest until it steadied my voice. "I see." I inclined my head, bag slipping from my shoulder to settle at my feet. My fingers brushed broken porcelain, but I didn't look down. "Then I'll leave." The words floated out, soft, but irrevocable. No plea, no anger, just observation, an acknowledgement of their choice. There was a muffled gasp, somewhere between a hotel guest's stifled sympathy and a friend's silent horror. My wife's lips twitched, a faltering afterthought of superiority. Mother and father glanced at each other, eyebrows nodded. Her friends lowered their glasses, eyes darting. Even the clerk paused mid-breath, fingers hovering over the keyboard like a conductor uncertain of his next movement. But I didn't wait. My jaw unclenched as I bent to retrieve my overnight bag. The smell of coffee beans and polished leather trailed behind me's. I pivoted away from the spectacle. Each step on the marble floor was measured, as though I traveled a path of my own forging. Could feel their eyes tracking me. Curiosity, discomfort, tiny pricks of guilt. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. Outside, the city's pulse resumed around me, car horns ricocheting against glass facades, taxi meters rattling awake. Pedestrians, weaving through the morning rush. The concrete and steel offered anonymity I hadn't realized I craved. I hailed a cab, stilling my hand so it didn't shake. Sliding into the back seat, I let the doors seal me into a capsule of possibility. My overnight. Bag settled at my feet, like a promise waiting to be kept. "I'm sorry." She circled the room like a bird in a shrinking cage. "Do you know how this makes me look? How hard I've worked to keep everything balanced, everything elevated, and now—" Her voice cracked slightly, and she paused to fix herself. She couldn't even cry without adjusting for lighting. "Now the contracts are pulling back. My agent said Lyon and Hardif have cut me. Canceled. No explanation, no negotiation. They said the board made the call." I took a sip of my coffee and finally spoke. "Augustus owns the board." Her face twitched. Anger, hurt, confusion. I couldn't tell. Maybe all of them. She looked around the room at the minimal luxury, the skyline through the glass, the absence of any sign of her. "So this is where you ran off to?" "I didn't run," I said calmly. "I walked, with purpose." She dropped onto the arm of the couch, clutching the fabric of her coat as if she needed to hold on to something. "You don't understand. My trust fund access, frozen, the joint investments on hold, even the credit cards aren't clearing. What are you doing to me?" I stared at her, and I finally let the stillness crack. "What did you do to me?" "I sold. For 3 years. Not in one moment, not in one fight, but slowly, carefully. You erased me at dinners, at events, in your posts, in your life. I was just convenient, until I wasn't." She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. "I paid off your debts. I helped your father clean up his campaign finances. I showed up for you, even when you didn't want me there. And yesterday, I walked into a hotel where I was supposed to be a guest and found out I wasn't even on the list, not forgotten, omitted, strategically." She turned her head to the side. "That wasn't how it was meant." "It was exactly how it was meant," I said.